Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today I would share with you the chapter 1 for our subject financial management. Chapter 1, title of chapter 1 is An Introduction to Finance. I'm Huud bin Ameen, this is from Malaysia, 019-711-2218. So this is the first chapter for the subject of financial management. Title of this chapter is An Introduction to Finance. Have you know what is finance? So the learning objective of this chapter is we have 4 learning objectives. It's very simple. First is define of finance. What is finance? Learning objective number 2 is explain goal of the firm. What's the goal or what the mission of the firms, of any firms, particularly in the finance. Number 3, explain agency problem. What is the agency problem? So focus on the words of problems. And number 5 is explain the 4 principles of finance that form the basis of financial management for both businesses and individuals. So we have 4 principles. The other books we have 10 principles. Then the 4th principle is we combine all the 10 principles into 4. That means this is very important principle that you have to understand to if you want to carry out until of the end of the semester. So first, I give you the 5 minutes to give example of financial decision faced by corporation and individuals. You think you have to think what example of financial decision faced by corporations or might probably focus on you as individuals. So financial, what is example of financial decision made by you as a students? Might probably you have a limited source of money or limited money or funds to buy something. Everybody have faced shortage of money, so you have to decide which is most important and how to increase, how to make the money will be greater amount in next future, probably in next year your money will be accumulated greater than now. So this is, or in terms of corporations, is slightly same as faced by individuals, in that we have limited of money to buy overhead of the costs to run the business, to pay their salaries, and also the corporation might probably want to increase the company's profit. That's why we studied the financial management. So you can get more than one example or thousand of example in terms of finance. Very important. So what is a finance actually? Finance is the study of how people and business. So I will highlight, all right, how people and business evaluate investments and raise capital to fund them. So the finance study people might be appointed as finance manager to run the businesses, to run the operation of business, and the business have to facing the problem to pay such of amount, some expenses. And when we have an extra money, how to get the another capital to fund or to finance the asset you bought, the asset the company has bought. So this is what is finance actually. And why you study finance as a student or as a business? Why you have to study finance? Knowledge of financial tools is critical, very what you call critical is very important to making good decisions. Good decisions. So you have might be you have 1 million. You have to decide whether you want to keep 1 million in the bank and do nothing, or you want to raise the fund in terms of 1 million, then the next year you will get more. So you have to make good decisions, right decisions in both professional worlds and personal life. So you can use the finance in the professional and also personal lives. So finance is an integral part of corporate world. Integral meanings is communicated or integrated into the world, into each of the departments. How will GMs, General Motors, study decisions to invest 740 millions to produce? So they have GMs have to invest how to ha, need to get 740 million to produce Chevy Volts. Require the expertise of different disciplines within the business school such as marketing management, accounting, operation management, and finance. To run the business, to run the factory, you have to different of departments. For example, marketing. So the function of marketing to market the product. Management, we need to pay such of top salaries for the management. Accounting staff. Operation management, to build or to prepare the machines. And finance. And also finance, what is finance? To raise what the company or have the money to raise the fund, to raise the capital to fund back to the companies. So US might be you appointed as financial manager or financial chief executive to use that such a huge of money, 740 millions in US dollar, and in term of Malaysians, RM is equivalent to 7 times 4, 2.8 billions. So it's a such of huge money, big amount of money. And why you study finance? So this is continued of why you study finance. Many personal decisions require financial knowledge. For example, buying a house. So you don't have so much money because the price of a house today is keep increasing. For example, one house costs you about 300,000 ringgit. You don't have money, and how you financing, how you you want to got you want to buy your own house, then you have you for example, you just have a salary of 4,000 ringgit per month, and how you can buy a house of cost 300,000 ringgit. Then you have to study finance, planning for retirement. So for example, you are planning, you are now reaching of 55 years old, five another 5 years for retirement, and how you want to survive without working. So you have to plan your retirement so that every month you have money to survive in the survival of this world. Leasing a car, for example, you also want to lease, or you want to own your own car. Then how you can get a very expensive car nowadays. So you have to study finance, because you need to require a loan to get some asset for you. And then what is the goal of the firm? What actually is a goal of the firm? Mission of the firm. So they refer to all the books or the financial books. The goal of the firm is slightly same. Throughout the course, we will hold to the principle that the goal of corporation is to maximize the stockholder wealth, which translates into the maximization of the price of the firm's common stock. So you as the financial manager at the company, so your role is to maximize the stockholder wealth, owner, to maximize the owner's wealth or money, which translates into the maximization of the price of the stock of the firm's common stock. So in other words, you have to maximize the price of shares. So every limited company, for example, Tenaga Nasional Berhad, have their own price. Then the company itself, or the financial manager of the company, have to make sure the price of the firm keeping stable or keeping increase. It's very difficult task, or very critical role or important role. So I just highlight the goal of the firm is maximize the stockholder wealth. And next is agency consideration in the corporate finance. So this is what we call agency. Relationship exists when one or more persons known as principal, with one or more person the agent. So principal meaning, for example, at the company, the company itself has the owner or the contributor, that the person have huge of money, invest in one company, is known as principal. Contract with one or more person as the agent to make decision. So the principal, for example, you as the principal, you had the money, you don't have much time to run the business, you appoint one person, for example, your friends, to run the business. This is called agents. So the two key person here is principal and agents. So the agent actually make decision on their own principal behalf, on your own on your own behalf. it represent you. Agent represent the principal, represent principal. So principal might be don't have much time to run the business. They might be they want to rest at the house, and the agent had you appoint agent as your represent as you. In a corporation, the managers are the agents and the stockholder are the principals. Corporation firms, the managers are called agents and stockholders are the principals. So in the firms, or in factory, the office, organizations, so the managers as a workers are called agents. And stockholder meaning the contributor to the money, contributor of money to the company. Or owner, stockholder is the owner, is called principal. So what is maybe the company were facing agency problems. Problems arise when there is conflict. So you have to write jot down. Agency problem is when there is conflict interest between the stockholders and managers, because stockholders we have so many stockholders. Might be, for example, Pemodalan Nasional Berhad own the ASB. The stockholder have a million of stockholders, and the managers is the agents. So the stockholder is called principals. So such problems are likely to arise more when the managers have little or no ownership in the firm. So managers has appointed as a staff, they have no shares in the firm. So the manager have only got their salaries, for example, 8,000 ringgit per month. They have only have the salary, or might be 2,000 ringgit. So might be have the conflict between the stockholders and managers, between principal and agents. Example, not pursuing risky project for fear of losing jobs. Might be the managers don't want to operate any risky project. They receive a contract of risky project, then they reject because they want to run the risky project. Stealing and expenses perks. Might be managers steal or curi duit company, and the managers looking for expenses perks, expenses salaries, or imbuhan bonus. All as equals, agency problem will reduce the firm value. There might be ada pergaduhan, pertelingkahan di antara pengurus dengan pelabur ataupun pemilik. So they have a conflict between two parties. Conflict between owners and managers. Then the agency problems will arise when it's a conflict between the stockholders and the managers. between owners and agents. So how to reduce this is one of the very important. Might be will this question, this type of question have it's very popular question come out in the finals. So how to reduce agency problem? How to reduce the fight between the conflict between managers and the owners? So first is monitoring. So how to monitor? So by monitored monitored by owner or stockholder. So how they monitor? By looking, the owner will look annual reports, study or monitor on the reports, meetings, the appointed auditor to look to audit the financial statement. Board of directors might be the company have their own board of directors. Appoint board of directors, financial markets, bankers and credit agencies. So the stockholder will monitor financial market, pricing of price of the shares, bankers, kepercayaan bankers, bank-bank untuk memberi pinjaman, confident of the bankers to to give credit line to the companies, and also credit agencies might have they any problems to to pay the credit or hutang. And then second, the owner will give the compensation plans to the managers. So might be the manager will get bonus, increment of salaries, stock options, and benefit. Stock option might be the manager will get some amount of stock value, and benefits might be the owner will give benefits such as car, house for compensation to or pengganti kepada gaji yang sedia ada. And others, threat of being fired. For threat of being fired meanings memberi ancaman kepada mengugut kepada pengurus itu, kalau rugi akan diberhentikan, kerja itu akan diberhentikan, manager akan diberhentikan. The manager will get the threat if any problems arise of the operation done by managers, is any losses being then the manager will be fired, will be terminated as a manager. Threat of takeovers. Also threat of takeovers might be some other companies will take over if not performs. The existing managers will not perform, then so the owner will threat to take overs. Stock market regulations. So you provide the regulations. The above will have to reduce agency problems. To reduce. So this three example to reduce, not to eliminate, not to menghapuskan masalah. Mesti mesti ada problem di antara pengurus dengan pemilik. They must have agency problem between. This is just how to reduce, not how to eliminate. The four basic. So we finish for part one, and then the four basic principle of finance. We have principle of finance, theory of finance. The most important basic principle is four, comprises of four. Principle one, money has a time value. The dollar received today is more value than the dollar received in the future. Might be. What is the meaning of time value? 1 ringgit today or 100 ringgit today, after 1 years, the 100 ringgit today will accumulated more value at next year. Might be 10% greater than 100 ringgit. Then and next year, 100 ringgit today, you will get, and next year is 110 ringgit. We can invest the dollar received today to earn interest. Thus, in the future, you will have more than $1. So, if you deposit $1 to the bank, and next year the $1 will have more than $1, probably 1 ringgit and 10 cents, as you will receive the interest on your investment plus your initial investment interest. So this is principle one, money has a time value. Second principle, there is a risk-return trade-off. We only take risks when we expect to be compensated for the extra risk with additional return. So if you want higher risk, higher return, then you have to foresee the higher risk. If you want to get more, for example, low risk is you just deposit to the bank. Then easily you can get 3%. For example, 100 ringgit, the next year will get 130 ringgit. But if you want to get more, instead of 103 ringgit, you want to get 200 ringgit, 100%, you have to take risk to get higher return. This is what we call, that is a risk-return trade-off. Higher the risk, higher the return will be expected. This is second principle. So, according to the common graph, return y-axis and risk x-axis, higher return expected, then the investor will get higher risk. So this is risk at zero. For example, you drop down, risk at zero, meaning you don't have any risk. If you put your money into the ASB, government promise. So ASB never fail to give dividend at every year. Then this is considered zero risk. Then at zero risk, you will get some, for example, 4% here. Starting from 4%, and this is higher risk. For example, you invest at the bank, shares, or also invest to the project, higher risk, you will expect to higher return. Principle 3, cash value and the source of value. Profit is an accounting. Yeah. So you have started, you already, I assume you already studied accounting, how to get the profits, revenue minus expenses, expenses in, for example, what is expenses list? For example, expenses salary, rental, petrol, raw material. These all the expenses will reduce the profit. Designed to measure business performance over an interval of time. Interval of time we have managed, we have to, the company has calculate 1 year profit or half of a year. So it's considered interval of time. Cash flow is the amount of cash. So you have to highlight cash flow. Is the amount of cash that can actually be taken out of the business over the same interval. Cash flow meanings from the profit. So better amount of profit, then the cash flow might be higher. So if you want to get higher cash flow, the profit also expected high profit. So cash flow is the amount of cash that can actually be taken out of the business over the same interval. Cash flow are the source of value. Aliran tunai. Dia adalah sebahagian daripada keuntungan. Kadang-kadang, for example, ada kalanya profit satu company tu tinggi tetapi duit tak ada. Kenapa? Why? Because susuk nilai adalah tinggi. So in the expenses that included the depreciation. Depreciation is not the cash flow. So you have this cash flow are the source of value will be further discussed in the chapter 11 or chapter 10. So you can understand more on the next, in the chapter 10. So this is the principal cash flow are the source of value. So what the meaning cash flow are the source of value? Profit is an accounting concept designed to measure a business performance over an interval of time. Cash flow is the amount of cash that can actually be taken out of the business over this time, this same interval. So we need cash to buy machines or to replace an old machines. So you have to consider between the profit and also the cash flow. Not really rely on profit. You also, as a manager, you have to think the company's cash flow. And principle 4, market price reflect information. So maklumat-maklumat yang berkenaan dengan harga saham akan memberi memberi kesan kepada maklumat. Harga saham memberi maklumat, kesan kepada maklumat. Investor respond to new information by buying and selling their investment. So kalau Kalau contohnya investor mendapat berita terbaru, contohnya Petronas mendapat tempat cari gali minyak yang baru. So Petronas nak dapat duit, so the investor ataupun pelabur ini mendapat berita tersebut dan investor membeli mengharapkan, bila beli saham dia mengharapkan, investor mengharapkan harga saham akan meningkat pada masa akan datang. Saham ini umpama macam kita beli barang dan kita jual balik pada harga yang lebih mahal. Buying and selling. Selling maksudnya kita dapat balik, kita jual balik saham kita yang ada. So the investor respond to new information by buying and selling. Kalau selling tu maksudnya kita nak menjual balik saham tu, kita dengar berita company hendak kena saman. So ataupun managing director nak berhenti kerja, ataupun Perdana Menteri letak jawatan, ataupun Finance Minister resign. So this is the investor respond to new fashion by buying and selling their investment. For example, you got news from these companies to enlarge the scale of the business. Then you foresee that the price will go up in the next year, then the investor will buy the price. And if the company have sued by the court, then the investor will selling back the investment. The speed which investor act and the way that price respond to new information determine the efficiency of the market. Inefficient markets, for example like Malaysia, the process occurs very quickly. As a result, it's hard to profit from trading investment on publicly released information. So ramai yang pelabur terpengaruh dengan berita-berita. Many of the investor influenced by informations or news from the Facebook or from their reading, and then the investor will act very quick, terlalu cepat membuat keputusan dan terus menjual ataupun membeli pelaburan tersebut. Investor in capital market will tend to react positively to good decision made by the firm, resulting in higher stock prices. Biasanya pelabur akan membuat keputusan cepat untuk menjangkakan harga saham akan meningkat pada masa-masa akan datang. Stock prices will tend to decrease when there is a bad information. Bad information, for example, kebakaran, kecurian, disaman. So this information the stock price will tend to decrease. Akan menunjukkan kelemahan company tersebut dan pelabur akan cepat-cepat untuk menjual saham. So we are end of this chapter, and the summary of the chapter is what is definition of finance. You just refer back to the notes. Explain goal of the firms, what the goal or matlamat of the firms, mission of the firm. Explain agency problem. Agency problem arise between first agent goal of the first is maximize the profit of the maximize the firm profit. Agency problem, so conflict between principal and agents. Explain the four principles of finance that form the basis of the financial management. So kita dah saya telah menerangkan keempat-empat. I have discussed all the four principles of finance that form the basis of the financial management for both businesses and individual. So this is end of the session. Any question you might like or comment and subscribe in the comment column. Then I will answer all the question there, and you can WhatsApp me. Okay, thank you.